All right, so after looking at the Edpuzzle answers to your homework, you should be watching this to see the ones you got wrong, how you should have done it instead to make sure you understand this topic. So if we take a look, we are on systems using substitution. So we have to use substitution for this type. So our first one's number 4. Number 4, if we look, all our variables are the same. So we have the x's, we have the y's, we're good to go. So now let's look at the coefficients. -3, -3, 2, they all have coefficients, but the x has our 1. So we're going to want to get that alone. So instead of x minus 3y equals -15, I'm going to have x equals 3y minus 15. And the other one remains -3x plus 2y equals 10. Now we take this equation and substitute it in for x. So we'll have -3 times 3y minus 15 plus 2y equals 10. Distribute -9y plus 45 plus 2y equals 10. -9 plus 2 is -7y plus 45 equals 10. Subtract 45, we get -7y equals -35. So my y is 5. All right, now that I have my y, let's plug it in to find my x. So I'm going to plug it in here. I chose to do the first equation. You could do the second. And why am I not plugging it up here? Because what if I did something wrong? What if I decided to move the -3y over and I kept it negative? So I always suggest doing one of the original equations. So if I plug in 5, I get x minus 15 equals -15. Add -15 on both sides, so add positive 15, and we get x is 0. So my answer for 4 will be 0, 5. Okay, let me clear this off. Number 5, we have -5x minus 4y equals 15, -2x plus y equals 19. So I'm going to bring the 2x over so that original equation stays the same. Gonna add over the 2x. Now let's plug it in. We still have -5x minus 4 times 2x plus 19 equals 15. Now I don't want to do this calculation on the top of my head, so we can use a calculator. So we have -5x minus 8x. -4 times 19, we get -76 equals 15. -8 and -5 give me -13x. And I add the 76 over, and I get 91. Divide by -13, I get my x is -7. Plug it into one of my originals, so I'll do the one down here. So -2 times -7 is 14, plus y equals 19. Subtract 14 from both sides, we get our answer as -7, 5. Okay. Number 7. We get 8x and 5x, 5y, -5y, 24 15th. We look, all these have coefficients, so what I have to do, I have to divide one of them by a number. If I look at the bottom one, everything's divisible by 5, so let me divide that by 5. So my first equation stays the same. My bottom one now becomes x minus y equals 15. I'm going to add y over, so x equals y plus 15. Now plug that in. So 8 times y plus 15 plus 5y equals 24. 8 times 15, so we have 8y plus 120 plus 5y equals 24. 8 plus 5 once again is 13. Subtract over. I get negative 96 divided by 13. I forgot to divide this. So instead this should be 3. Divide everything. My bad, guys. So this should be 3. So 8 times 3 is 24. So this should be 24. My bad, everyone. I'm sorry for that one. 24. So 13y, subtract over. So y is 0. Plug it back in. If y is 0, that means we get rid of, let's say, this one down here. So we get 5x equals 15. So x equals 3. So we get 3 comma 0. So as you saw the little mistake I made here, make sure we're dividing everything by 5, not just the ones on the left, the right as well. I know some of us made that mistake in class, so make sure you are dividing everything by 5. As you can tell, it's an easy mistake to make, so try to be as careful as possible. All right, number 8. So none of these are easily divisible, so I'm going to divide the second one by 2 because I know that this gives me a whole number still, so I'll divide that by 2. We'll have 7x plus 3y equals negative 18. Divide that one by 2, we get 3 halves x plus y equals negative 1. Move over the 3 halves, so y equals negative 3 halves x minus 1. Plug it in. 7x plus 3 times negative 3 halves x minus 1 equals negative 18. 7x minus 9 halves x minus 3 equals negative 18. So instead of 7, this could be 14 halves. I don't know why that keeps happening. So 14 minus 9 gives me 5. So 5 halves x. Add the 3 over. We get negative 15. So now we are going to multiply by the reciprocal. So 2/5. Negative 15 times 2 divided by 5. We get our x as negative 6. Then once again, we need to plug it in. So I'll do the second one. 3 times negative 6 plus 2y equals negative 2. Negative 18 plus 2y equals negative 2. 2y equals 16. So y equals 8. So my point is negative 6 comma 8. All right, so it's very important. I like to make common denominators, get your fraction to be the same, move things over, and continue. All right, so now if I look at elimination, we have number 10. So number 10 is one of our, I'll put in air quotes, easier types of problems because we don't have to manipulate anything. If we can just look, if I add these equations, this y goes away. We're trying to eliminate a variable. So if we add the equations, that goes away. So we have negative 5x equals 26 plus 24, which is 50. So our x is negative 10. If we plug it in, I'll plug it into the first one. Negative 10 plus 7y equals 24. So 10 plus 7y equals 24. 7y equals 14. So my y is 2. So my answer will be negative 10 comma 2. Now we have problem number 11. So we look, oh, there's nothing that we can cancel out right away. I'm going to multiply the bottom one by negative 2 so I can add them, and it will cancel out. So if I do that, I have the top one is 9x minus 10y equals 10. Multiply the bottom by negative 2, and I get negative 6x plus 10y equals negative 40. We like to write it like this to remind ourselves. So we're multiplying everything by negative 2. So now if we add them, they cancel out. So you could have multiplied this by only 2 and then subtracted it, but sometimes we forget subtraction. Sometimes we have to subtract a negative number, and we don't like that. So I like to just multiply to get addition. So 9 minus 6x is 3x. 10 plus negative 40 is negative 30. So my x is negative 10. Let's plug that back in. I'll do the smaller of the equations for the x value. So 3 times negative 10 minus 5y equals 20. Negative 30 minus 5y equals 20. So negative 5y equals 50. So y is negative 10 as well. So we get negative 10 comma negative 10. Number 14. So we look, is there anything we can multiply by? Just one of them? No, so we're going to have to multiply both of them. So I'm going to multiply the top by 3 because I'm going to cancel out the x's, and the bottom by 2. So if I multiply the top by 3, I get 6x plus 30y equals negative 24. The bottom becomes negative 6x minus 16y equals 24. So now I can add these up. So the x's go away, and I get 30 minus 16, which is 14y, equals 0. So y is 0. If we have y is 0, we can plug it into the second one. I just chose that one. We get negative 3x equals 12. So x equals negative 4. So my point is negative 4, 0. And you have to write it like this. This is the proper way, so make sure you get used to that. Number 15. Once again, can't multiply by anything, only once. So let's multiply the top by 4. Or they both have 12 in common, don't they? If we look, negative 6, you could get to 12. Negative 4, you could get to 12. So I'm going to multiply this top one by 2, the bottom by negative 3. I want to be able to add. If you chose to multiply the top by 4, the bottom by 6, that's fine as well. I just saw that 12 is both in common, so that's fine. So we get negative 12x plus 20y equals negative 48. The bottom is 12x plus 27y equals 30 times 16, which is 48. So the x's cancel out. We get 47y equals 0. So y is 0. Once again, we got y is 0. So we plug it back in. I'm going to do the bottom one. Negative 4x equals negative 16. So x equals 4. So our point is 4, 0. All right, number 16. 16, I can look. To get my x's, the same, 10 and 6, they both have 30 in common. So I can multiply the top by 3 to get that to 30, the bottom by 5. So I get 30x plus 18y equals 6. Negative 30x minus 35y equals negative 125. So these cancel out. Negative 35 plus 18 is negative 17y. Negative 125 plus 6 is negative 119 divided by negative 17. I get my y as 7. Plug it back in. I'll do the first this time. 10x plus 6 times 7 equals 2. 6 times 7 is 42. So 10x plus 42 equals 2. Subtract it over. 10x equals negative 40. So our x equals negative 4. So our point is negative 4 comma 7. So that's elimination. You want to be able to eliminate one of the variables. I like to use the number that gives us the least. You could have looked at these and said, okay, multiply this by 6, this one by 10. That's fine. I like to do the smaller the numbers if I'm able to see it. Now let's look at no solution and infinite solution. So number 5. All right, I'm going to use elimination. This one looks like the easiest. So I cancel out, cancel out, cancel out. So I'm left with 0 equals 0. So this will be infinite. Let's look at this one. I can multiply the top by -2. So I'll move it down here. -16x minus 8y equals -12. So these cancel out, so I'm left with 0 equals -12 though. So that's a no solution. And finally, let's look at this one over here. So this one looks a little bit tricky. What can I do here? I could use substitution. I feel like elimination might be easier. So to get this to be common, I'm just going to use 8 and 12. Why not? So 8 times 12 gives me 96. We're going to be using big numbers here, but that's okay. Unless we could find a number that's similar. Let's see in the calculator. Let's just stick with doing what I said. So we'll multiply this by 12, this by 8. There's probably a better way of doing it, but this is the way I decided to do it. So 12 times 14 gives me 168x, a big number. 12 times 8, I did that already, but let's see again, is -96y, and 22 times 12 gives me 264. The bottom, 8 times -21 gives me -168x. 8 times 12, which we saw before, gives me 96y. And equals -24 times 8, which is -192. These cancel out, so I'm left with 0. This is obviously not going to be 0, but let's take a look what it would be. We have 264 minus 192, which is 72. So it's a no solution. If you got to this point here and you saw these cancel and these don't, you could automatically say no solution if you want. So if any of these are confusing you, please email me. I have extra help on Wednesday. I'll be online Wednesday for you guys, so let me know.